Hello and welcome. Today is the 26th day of September 2017, and I want to talk about sports gambling within this video. I've released six NFL selections with five of such being winners, and none of these games has been close, with the closest being Philadelphia only covering the spread by about 13 points in week one, and my loss being Dallas in week two, laying 2.5 was totally a onslaught on the other direction. But I think one of the smart things as far as sports gambling is to be very picky within your bets. But when there's a lot of selections available to you, then that creates good opportunities. And each week I'm going to do the best that I can to find the best possible games. I've missed out on giving two plays over this past week. I should have figured out on Saturday night that the play was on in CFL to take the Toronto Argos laying a touchdown over the Montreal Alouettes. I'll be laying over about two touchdowns probably. I haven't seen the spread yet on the Calgary Stampeders against the Montreal Alouettes this weekend. Montreal is probably the worst professional sports team I have ever seen in my life. They are that damn bad right now. So I want to exploit them until the end of the regular season. Canadian Hockey League. This is I can bet it. I can bet Ontario Hockey League, Western, not too sure about the Eastern or the Quebec Hockey League, but Ontario and the West, there are betting lines out there, and it's one of those sports where there's not much attention towards the lines, that even with a little bit of higher juice or vig, definitely a game that can be beatable. Last night, I was going to make a video on it. I wish I did. I was going to talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs laying a goal and a half last night at 2-1 odds. And it was an easy winner as the Toronto Maple Leafs pounced the Montreal Canadiens by a count of 5-1. I also thought over 5.5 was decent, but that was totally an amazing play that I should be focusing towards finding. Today, I found one decent play, and it's in baseball, so I can only bet so much. And that is the fade of the Bartolo Colon, who has been just terrible the last few years. He's actually older than I am. I'm 41, and he's older than that, and he's looking terrible. So I'm going to take the hottest team in the history of baseball, which is the Cleveland Indians, laying a run and a half at close to even odds to take down the Minnesota Twins, but it's baseball. I can only bet small amounts. But I think what I want to do with a lot of these is just come on and if I see anything, state what I'm betting. And I'm only going to be talking about plays that are very much top plays. So as we go through the the weekly selections, if there happens to be one play that I really don't like of the two, I'll let you know that it's just a second game filler. And in a rare situation where I really do like three games, and that's not too rare, I'll let you know about those ones as well. But the big focus is limiting the amount of games that are played. If you try to play every single game on the board, play every single night of the week, well, at least for multiple games, then it becomes very difficult to maintain a proper bankroll management when you're playing multiple games where you are in negative ROI. And it's all about trying to get yourself in a positive return on investment situation. As far as the NHL is concerned this year, we are moving into the regular season in a few weeks from now. And my early lean this year is for that of goals. Goals over the total. This was the case last year with a lot of the earlier games in October and early November, where the average totals were starting off well over 6. And that means by just simply putting small wagers on practically every game to go over the total, if you feel that's going to be the case, would work out to be very well. But more importantly, is to trigger the games that have the best odds to do such and play those ones over. And I haven't watched too much of the preseason, and a lot of the picks that I'm going to be giving are going to be Toronto Raptors and Toronto Maple Leafs because I live in the Toronto area, And because I am much familiar with those two teams, then I'm able to understand what's going on. But man, damn, you are good, Nylander, after watching your performance yesterday and through the rest of this preseason this year. And given that that he's basically that good, I wouldn't be surprised if he nets around 35 goals and assists on over 65 in a 100-point season. And Austin Matthews, 50 goals, I think at least gives a good chance. If you can see any prop bets for him to go over any decent numbers, because I think even scoring 60 this year is in the realm of possibilities. Furthermore, and I'm not betting this, but I think the Leafs are a very good Stanley Cup contender. If this works out well, that defense is going to be their Achilles heel. And their goaltending, at best, is above average. But the three lines that they present, with their top line being Austin Matthews, William Nylander, and Zach Hyman, a spectacular line to say the least. I like to see Mitch Marner play a little bit better. He doesn't seem ready. He's their second liner along with James Van Riemsdyk and Tyler Bozak. That's a very formidable, good second line. And I got to think the best third line in hockey is that of Patrick Marleau being on the side with Leo Komarov and Bozak, Kadri's on the other side. Yeah, so with Bozak and Kadri on the second line. But those are 9 good scorers that they are presenting. So yeah, defense going to be tough for them. But I think it wouldn't be a surprise for me because of an extra 100 or so goals scored because of this awesome talent. Maybe an extra 60 or 70 that they are competing for one of the top spots in the Eastern Conference. My view as far as betting futures in sports is only to bet the long shots. I really don't like taking anything less than 20 or 25 to 1 on the early parts of the season. My view as far as betting futures to win the cup is to wait till the playoffs. And then if you want to bet them, you bet them to win the series in the first round. And then you parlay that with each of the other 3 series. So if you want, say, the Leafs to win the cup, you wait. Okay, they play whomever in the first round. And okay, you bet them, maybe whatever you're betting. And then if it wins, you take what you get back or a high portion of it. You bet it to win the second round and so on the third round and then the final round. Oftentimes, you can get better prices doing it that way. And you also see when you got teams that are like 15 to 1, 12 to 1, 16, 8 to 1, 10 to 1 to win it, that when the playoffs start, they're usually in that area as it is anyway to win the Stanley Cup. That's why I put a bet on the Tennessee Titans at like over 50 to 1 at the start of the season because I thought they were a very live team. And they've gone off to a decent start in the NFL. But it wouldn't surprise me if the Toronto Maple Leafs are competing for the Eastern prize. I'm looking at the Montreal Canadiens as their main competition right now, and I don't see them as being a difficult a task to beat. Their offense is decent. It's good defense, and Carey Price is the absolute stellar goaltender. He's had probably the best start to 3 consecutive seasons of any goalie ever, based on his first 15 games of each of his last 3 seasons. But other than that, is he going to be able to stay healthy? I have a lot of doubts within that team. Ottawa actually is a team in the NHL, and I haven't seen, other than the games they played against Toronto, which they handled the Leafs pretty good, that Ottawa's a pretty decent team, but they got terrible lines to move ahead in the... and I think with Erik Karlsson, he'll be coming back. It's a very formidable team. Craig Anderson is a good goaltender for Ottawa. But I think Toronto, again, is a much better team. I think they are going to be competing with the Pittsburgh Penguins, Columbus Blue Jackets, the Chicago Blackhawks, and everyone else who decides they want to be an elite team this year in the National Hockey League. I have not really been focusing on all of these other teams because I really don't have time to do so. And generally, again, living in the Toronto area, I'm going to be focusing a lot on the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Toronto Raptors, as those are the games that are being shown. So when I come on here, it's going to be very common, more common for me to have an NBA pick that features the Raptors than any other team. And same thing in the NHL. I'll have a lot more Toronto picks, whether it's playing Toronto, playing against Toronto, going over, going under the total. And I'm only looking for situations in which gives me a very high return on investment. And I'm in a good zone right now to do so. So I'm going, as long as I'm in that zone, I am going to put a bunch of these different sports along the way. So thank you for tuning in and take care.